Previously, on Wars That Broke Tumblr, we begin with the Great Shipping Wars, chaotic battles fought over angelic boyfriends, misunderstood villains, and the sanctity of the fan tag. Then came the tag raids of 2014, where troll armies and fandom purists clashed in mass posting campaigns that turned the dashboard into a war zone. And of course, who could forget about the ball pit campaign, a corporate misfire so cursed it united the user base through mockery, memes, and inflatable rage. These were the early conflicts, messy, absurd, sometimes even hilarious. But all of them were just the warm-up. Before the wars over ideology, there were the fandom wars, shipping battles, tag raids, fandom frenzies that spiraled into full-blown cyber chaos. It was messy, it was dramatic, but at its core, it was still kind of fun. There was a certain playfulness to it, a sense that yeah, this is the internet, it's not that deep. But sometime between the Super Hulock Renaissance and the Great Homestuck Migration, something began to shift gradually, and then all at once. Tumblr stopped being just a fandom playground and started becoming a battlefield for ideology. It wasn't just what do you ship anymore, it became who are you, what do you believe, are you safe to follow. Suddenly, reblogging a post wasn't just sharing content, it was aligning with a worldview. Your bio became a manifesto, your block list a political statement. People weren't shipping characters, they were shipping ideologies. Neurodivergent discourse, manga discourse, ace exclusionism. Did you just say queer unironically? Welcome to 2015 Tumblr, the ideological arms race you never asked for. It was the Tumblr equivalent of a Cold War. Not always explosive, but always tense. Every post, every tag, every reply was a part of a larger power struggle over language, identity, and moral superiority. Some users saw this as liberation, a space they could finally be understood. Others saw it as the beginning of Tumblr's crucial implosion, and in the middle of it all, a platform with no central authority, no unfiltered moderation, a user base of chronologically online teens trying to win physiological trench warfare with reaction gifs. This is the wars that broke Tumblr, episode 4. The ideology skirmish. Let's jump right into the conflict, shall we? Cause something's about to catch fire, as it always does on Tumblr. By the mid-2010s, Tumblr wasn't just a fandom platform anymore, it was becoming something else, something more fragmented, and a lot more ideological. In the beginning, Tumblr was a mosaic of subcultures, a patchwork of fandoms, aesthetics, memes, and personal blogs. You could stumble across a Homestuck gift set, an anesthetic mood board, and a Sherlock/Doctor Who crossover fanfic, all in one scroll. But as the platform grew, so did the desire to be understood perfectly, not just by your friends, but by your followers, your mutuals, your entire dashboard. And in that pursuit of understanding, people started curating. Curation became codified. Bios weren't just fun facts, they were declarations, labels manipulated, new flags were born daily. Pages started looking more like physiological dossiers than personal vlogs. Neurodivergent, demisexual, e-boy flux, alt-gender, did, ADHD, BPD, plural queer, all valid, all real, but also all increasingly categorized. Tumblr gave people the space to express themselves, but that space slowly morphed into a set of rooms with locked doors. Each tag became its own ecosystem. Reblogs stayed within tight circles. The algorithm didn't push you out of your comfort zone because there was no algorithm, not at all. And when you mix complete freedom with hyper-specific identity politics, what you get is friction. What happens when a platform stops showing you disagreement? What happens when everyone builds their own bubble and never leaves? By 2015, Tumblr was less of a community and more of an archipelagical islands of ideology that barely interacted, unless it was to go to war. The idea of shared culture fractured, and in its place came discourse. At first it was subtle, a post saying, hey, this person did something messed up, be careful. Then came the receipts, then came the chains, then came the casualties. But call-out posts became Tumblr's nuclear option, the go-to weapon of choice for policing behavior, ideology, or just plain bad vibes. Originally, it was meant for serious stuff, abuse, racism, predatory behavior, but Tumblr doesn't do moderation, it does escalation. With it, the definition of harm stretched. You used the wrong term, you reblogged from the wrong person, you didn't put up a trigger warning, you liked a post from 2013 that didn't age well. It became less about the post and more about the person. Character assassination disguised as accountability. A slow shift from what you said is wrong to you are wrong. And unlike Twitter or Reddit, Tumblr didn't have viral mechanics. There were no trending tabs or upvote counters, just chains, reblogs, rumors spreading like wildfire through whispered networks made of dashboard reblogs. Sometimes these posts were justified. Often they were based on hearsay, and occasionally entire reputations were destroyed over misunderstanding misunderstandings, or worse, nothing at all. You didn't just risk losing followers, you risked exile, mass unfollowing, and unpersoning, and in the worst cases, dogpiling. It became a game of survival. Know the rules, know the language, stay on script, or get killed. It wasn't just cancel culture, it was call-out culture, with Tumblr flavor, long, emotional, hyperlinked, and dressed in pastel aesthetics. By now, call-out posts weren't isolated events, they were contagious. A single accusation could ripple across dashboards in minutes, mutating with each reblog, inflating with every add-on. The platform had entered its next stage, mass panic. Panic posts weren't carefully reasoned, they were emotionally loaded, urgency drenched, and riddled with all caps warnings, vague allegations, and weaponized guilt, like that infamous chain post. If you follow user, unfollow me now. I don't care who they used to be. No context, no source, just pure digital dread. And because Tumblr had no moderation, no friction, and no pushback from the platform itself, fear spread faster than facts ever could. The definition of harm stretched yet again. Microaggressions, poor phrasing, reblogging from the wrong source, content that wasn't offensive but felt like it could be. Whole genres of content disappeared overnight. People deleted fan art, took down entire blogs, scrubbed years of posts. Not because they did something wrong, because they might be read the wrong way. One popular post said, "Do not reblog this unless you're a trans, autistic, non-white minor with trauma." It got over 15,000 notes. Another user tagged a post about cookies with hashtag #TWFood, hashtag #TWComfort, hashtag please don't hate me. People started adding disclaimers longer than the actual content, trigger warnings, content notes, apology tags, content dumps like blacklist lists, and before the viewer even saw the post, one user went viral for saying that they were taking a break from Tumblr because they were tired of apologizing before every sentence. Eventually, people weren't just afraid of being called out, they were afraid of being seen, so they built armor in tags and disclaimers, in preemptive reblogs that said, "Don't come for me, I'm one of the good ones." This was the Tumblr version of wearing camouflage, not to blend in with the enemy, but to hide from your own side. By this point, Tumblr wasn't just reactive, it was armed. Users weren't waiting for drama, they were scanning the horizon for it, searching tags like discourse the way soldiers watch radar. And when it came hard. The tags became trenches. Discourse wasn't a conversation anymore, it was a declaration of war. Whole factions formed around beliefs that would have been niche arguments on any other platform. Some of the loudest wars, whether asexuality belonged in the LGBT community, whether queer was a slur or a reclaim, whether misusing a mental health term made you abusive, whether using neo-pronouns was empowering or attention-seeking. Each of these could have been a discussion, but this was Tumblr, so it became discourse, which meant it became personal. Mutuals turned on each other, entire friend groups collapsed in public. Popular blogs with tens of thousands of followers deactivated overnight. People who spent years building communities got atomized over one post. No one was exempt. You could be the perfect poster one day, and the next, you were problematic, blocked, and left to rot in the tags. You could try to explain, you could apologize, you could disappear. It didn't matter, because the war wasn't about facts anymore. It was about loyalty, optics, survival. And survival meant choosing a side, fast, and making sure you were louder than whoever was watching. And by the time it peaked, Tumblr wasn't a battlefield, it was a wasteland, and the loudest voices weren't the most thoughtful, they were the most unhinged. This was no longer about safety, this was about dominance. After the explosion came the fallout. People were tired, burned out, paranoid. Some stayed to fight, others locked their doors, and more than a few just disappeared. Tumblr didn't collapse overnight, it hollowed out, slowly, quietly, and the signs were everywhere. Blogs started going private, dashboards turned into fortified bunkers, entire circles of mutuals became echo chambers built on trust or trauma bonding. Filtering became a survival tactic, blacklists, block lists, soft blocks, hard blocks, DNI tags on posts, DNI tags on bios. The discourse wars didn't just push people to pick sides, they pushed people into ideological silos, where your entire presence online had to be pre-qualified by disclaimers, warnings, and allegiance signals. Even among people who agreed, you still weren't safe, because eventually everyone became someone's enemy. You hadn't just been called out yet, and when survival gets this exhausting, people leave. Tumblr's mass exodus wasn't just about boredom, it was about burnout, emotional fatigue from a platform that treated every disagreement like moral warfare. Some left for Twitter, some fled to Discord, some never came back online at all, and the people who stayed, either they filtered their world down to 5 mutuals and a safe tag list, or they embraced the chaos and went feral. There was no middle ground left, just filters, factions, and fleeing. So Tumblr discourse, that happened. You might be asking, was it really that bad? And to that I say, if you lived through it, you already know. If you didn't, congratulations, you missed the digital equivalent of a Cold War mixed with a group therapy session that turned into a fucking at its best. Tumblr was a space for self-expression, identity discovery, and deeply personal growth. At its worst, it was a paranoia engine running on moral panic and burnout. We were reblogging infographics about trauma recovery, next to posts accusing each other of moral failure for not tagging unreality correctly. It was chaos, wearing a pastel theme. There were real moments of connection, real harm too, but the platform gave no guidance, no structure, so everything became crowdsourced mortality, filtered through 16-year-olds who hadn't touched grass since 2012. It wasn't all bad, it wasn't all good, but what it definitely was all uniquely Tumblr. Some people left and never looked back, some are still here, quieter now, and some of us made a whole video series about it. Discourse culture didn't die with Tumblr, it just migrated, fragmented, mutated. It's on Twitter, it's on TikTok, it's in the comment sections. The platform changed, but its behaviors, they found new soil, because here's the thing no one wants to admit, these ideological battles didn't start online. They were already inside us. Tumblr just gave them tags. The internet didn't make us obsessive. It just gave us the mirror and then dared us to look. So that was the ideology skirmish, and if your brain feels like a Tumblr tag cloud that just exploded, good, you're getting the full experience. Discourse culture might have peaked here, but Tumblr wasn't done yet, because just when things couldn't get more chaotic, the platform decided to break itself on purpose. Filters, flags, tags, gone. Next time on Wars That Broke Tumblr, Operation NSFW, and yes, the site was still down for maintenance when we needed it most.